And hello, 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 welcome back to the stream. It is your host Marley Startled, and today we'll be continuing on Tactician American Civil War. Or the Civil War, so to speak, not the American Civil War, as it's called. And we'll be continuing the Confederate campaign. I think I'll continue on to about dinner time, or unless Duel comes on, we'll play a bit of Call to Arms, and afterwards we're going to play a different game called Battle of Empires. I know I do it for Strategy Sunday, but I want to hopefully do some of the campaign just to get in the mood, if you know what I mean. So where were we? Save games. Let's load this bad boy up. All I also like about this is that the stream is very stable. It doesn't overheat because of the graphics. It's one of the great things about this game is that it's an easy stream game. But yeah, so far I've been doing quite well. I've been enjoying myself. That last battle was really good. It's those little battles that, like as the game goes on, which really cements, really makes the game so enjoyable. However, I do hope they get a little bit stronger, this union, hopefully by the end of 1862. So now we wait for this bad boy to load up and give me the good news. There we are. Finch invasion. Don't worry, that's them invading Mexico. So where were we? Let's do the strategic situation. We just finished the Battle of Sharpsburg up north, and those guys are in retreat. We're waiting till about April time before we begin offensive operations with the Army of Shenandoah of 66,000 men preparing to march on Washington. On the left flank, or on the west, we have the 45,000 Army of the Tennessee ready to march on the Army of Pennsylvania. Again, waiting till April for everything's ready. And on the far west, the Missouri State Guard under Nathan G. Evans is setting up, ready to move forward. Again, all waiting until the end of the start of the campaigning season. And the aim this time will be to take Washington and cause some significant damage to the Union, at least morale-wise. Sorry guys, this audio, I'm going to turn you down just a little bit, down to about 25. That should be fine. Yeah, that should be fine. Oh, and there we go. Also, there's things like trade states and areas, but we don't really cover that. So where trade comes from. You don't need to worry about it as yet. Not a big deal as yet. This has been built. Has it got troops in it? It has. And what is next? So it's March 11th, 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Sadly, not in Celsius. The right temperature. And we're in a pretty good defensive state right now. So they've done that to increase, I think, national stability or national support, but that's going to increase our national support as well. Now, while we've been waiting, this should allow us time to have trained our armies, got them up to good stuff, so good training, everything's good here, and that should allow us a better army ready to move forward next campaigning season. Army-wise, I'm got ridiculous amounts of men, and the Union is not. But again, they haven't gone into conscription laws as yet, so we will see what they do once the conscription laws kick in. This would be the prime time to go on the offensive as the Confederacy. They're going to keep on coming on down to fight me, are they? Oh no, they're withdrawing. Yeah, sometimes I feel the AI, its over-aggression can be its undoing. And are we there yet? 28, 29, 30, come on. This is me being, what do you call it, realistic, or trying to get into the, trying to roleplay as a campaigner. 31, 1st of April, okay, this is where we're going. We're going live. Operation Yankee Doodle is away. begin the march forward. And this Fort Anderson, is going to get some men. Go. And we're going to probably not move the Army to Potomac because it's still not particularly ready. And it keeps on taking the brunt of enemy assaults. We'll move forward the Army of the Tennessee to move into Cincinnati. And we'll begin to move forward the Missouri State Guard. We'll cross this river. Actually, we'll do a big boy play and move to secure the supply depot. Make sure the Missouri State Guard has got a good amount of soldiers. Oh, good enough equipment. Take a look at its equipment. Can I upgrade these to anything better? Not really, but I've got a load of Springfield muskets. So that is good. I got a load. So we begin our march. The Zolkoffer's already encountered the 17,929 Union troops, which will immediately push out. I'm not going to auto-resolve because it's a little bit buggy. So we're going to crush that immediately. Zolikov is a new face. We haven't seen him before in my previous campaigns. I don't know who he was historically, but we're going to see if he does well. So the Army of Tennessee beginning to march up. So they're in a pretty good defensive position. They need to. I've got to push forward and take Springfield, the Springfield Arsenal, and the cemetery. So that's the main hub. So we're going to try and do a three-pronged strike. One corps on the left, one corps on the center, one corps on the right, with the artillery just moving forward when ready to begin the offensive. Or the artillery just to be a suppressing fire on the center. So I'll probably send my cavalry on the left, and then supported by Jones's division, move them forward. So immediately move forward Bragg's division. So Bragg is going to move forward. Bond Jr. going to move forward on Moores forward. And Johnson is going to move up on the left. With the artillery to follow. Cavalry, what sort of equipment are you? Maynard carbine shops. Oh, these are good cavalry. Like that. I was a bit worried it'd be mixed, but I'm going to send the cavalry round long, like so. They may not join the battle, but fingers crossed they can come around and start skirmishing behind. Hopefully. But we will see. We will see. Already taken show. Ah, okay, there they are. So it looks like my best laid plan is already coming to an end. How to get these guys lined up for battle. Let's halt Archer's advance as well. And Bragg, you may need to stop whatever you're doing. Get these guys to lay down. Looks like the brag got the good news. I'm going to have to send all these orders out to council. Evans is just memeing it. What about my cavalry? Don't know. Yeah, the initial contact is always chaotic, which I quite like. Evans has somehow ended up getting behind the Union lines, which I like. We're going to try and move forward and engage with the infantry. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to wait. I can't just sit here and keep on getting bombarded. Hi Hoffman, welcome back. Going to continue on this campaign a little bit now that the working day is over. Get this cavalry to rejoin the force. Had hoped to encircle the town of Springfield, but they've sort of halted that chance. And they're using cover, which is good. This is actually quite a good defensive line from the AI. Moving these boys up. Fortunately, these cavalry are ridiculously well equipped, so Maynard carbines have a fire rate of 12 rounds a minute. That makes them effectively machine guns. So they can go toe to toe unless they rout. Yeah, the Holy Cavalry. the Great Cloud. They're not really meant for frontal engagements, but they can do it against infantry. And the rest of the army hasn't moved up yet. Yeah, I mean, historically in Europe, they did have, they did try and use cavalry historically. So, well, in the 1860s, I think the Prussians and the Austrians had a brothers' war, and the Prussians and the Austrians actually tried to use cuirassiers. And I actually went to the museum, I think, in Prague, of the Austrian army, and they've got a cuirassier plate armor, and it is riddled with bullets. It's just like the armor did not work at all against the bullets, and so yeah, at that stage, people had learned that you couldn't use cavalry as you normally did. Yeah, big oof for the Austrian army. The oofening for the Austrians. That'd be a good war to cover as well. I'd like to see a game covering the either the Franco-Prussian War or the Prussian-Austrian War, the Brothers' War. Yeah, these cannons are wiping me out. Vrag's corps has received extensive damage from the attempt to take the cannons out. That's a good defensive line from the AI. They knew where I was coming from, they set up a defense, and they're using cover. It doesn't help that my units are particularly well equipped. They're equipped with reboard muskets. Yeah, I would like the like a Victoria Total War, but of course people would be like, Scramble for Africa's bad, bro, and it'd be very difficult to put in without. Also, you'd have like this, the American Civil War. It'd be very difficult to, in this political climate, to have that game in. Got a lot of casualties here. A lot of it from the cannons. Those cannons are costly. Yeah, I'd like a Grand Tack in other time periods would be great, or an Ultimate General in other time periods would be great. Yeah. There's not a lot of games about the Chinese, about China. I would like to see sort of a contemporary, contemporary strategy game for China, for say, I don't know, the Chinese generals period, or along those lines, or the Indo-Chinese Japanese War. So we're gonna. What is our casualty figures? Look, 1,500. That's not that bad. Oh really? Is it like was China having like a proper war of annihilation back during the American Civil War? That'd be interesting. Is that Taiping Revolt the guy who thought he was Jesus? Was it that guy? Yeah, yeah. You could play as that guy. That'd be funny as fuck. Yeah, here's the problem. I didn't upgrade the armies before I sent them in. They're still using bloody reboard muskets. Apart from these fellows who are demolishing. Can we risk it a little bit closer? No, I'm not going to risk it. Who died? Fucker. Oh really? That would be Taiping Revolt was more of a war than I. Yeah, I think China gets a raw deal, especially in Europe, because we don't really cover the European most of our military history is all bloody European, and so it would be very interesting to do a war game of set in Asia. I mean, I think the closest you've got is Victoria 2, which isn't really decent, and you've got the Total Wars. 30 to 50 million death. It's all that meme, we know, during that Chinese siege, and it's like 40,000 Chinese were eaten, but it was still a strategic victory. Alright, so I need to reform my brigades after that disastrous attack. Vrag has only got one division left, the rest have routed. Not good. But still, my casualties aren't that high. I just want a Grand Tactician or an Ultimate General set in the Napoleonic Wars. That's all I want. Oh, mistakes were made. The vampire fleet. Oh, that's cool. I need to do some Wikipedia. Need to do some Wikipedia research on the typing rebellion. What was a vampire fleet? Was it like a load of garbage vessels? Like, was it all made of wood, or were they like tankers and that? I'm gonna have to be careful here. There we go, let's move up. I took a lot of damage, well, not a lot of damage, but I took a lot of routes trying to push over. The Vampire Fleet was a fleet of really good English warships sent to China. Don't remember why. The fleet got the power to change the power balance of naval power between North and South. Oh, cool. I like that. Why was it called the Vampire Fleet? Did it like come out at night? Come on. Give me a devastating volley, Bishop. The ever victorious. Let me guess. They just pretended he didn't. They lost like every battle. That's why you've got to be careful with what you name your armies. You can't name them like the always win army, because when they lose it's a pretty embarrassing moment. You're going to straight up not have a good time. I was a wannabe cowboy who rushed. Ah, based. You gotta love those sort of historical figures. It's a wannabe cowboy. So it was an army found by a rich Chinese merchant, and the leader of the band was a wannabe cowboy. The dream. I do like those eccentric figures. They give history some flavour to it. Imagine if not, they didn't have those eccentric figures. History would be so boring. And that's suddenly become a major victory. It looks like the Union is prepared to rout. So I think these guys got stuck again. That needs fixing. These guys got stuck in their deployment and now they've got loads of troops in the water. But this part was good. This was an intelligent line of defense. I think the cavalry did God's work on this. The guy who won the war was a manic depressive. Chinese history is funny. I suppose not if you're Chinese, because so many bloody people, so many people got died in the course of making that history, like Mao's Great Reform, See, there's a theory that because rice was so prominent, and because it was so easy to feed the population, because of the agriculture there, that instead of developing technologically upward, they didn't need to. They just moved to large-scale manpower, large-scale artisan work. So, like in Europe, we went with oil refining. We developed upwards because we had a limited population, because of multiple things, limited agriculture, and so we were forced to develop and build toll, so to speak. Whereas China, because it had such a large manpower, it could have these low-level industries and artisan work, but because it could basically have sweatshops to do this stuff, and that's why they didn't develop technology up toll, but they just built mass production, and that's why they technologically fell behind. That was an interesting fact. I can't remember what book it was from, but I quite liked that theory. It made sense to me. Because after all, why try and invent something new where you can just do the same thing before, and just increase the number of people that do it? Still took less casualties, yes. There's some other what else about China? I liked how back when we big up like Rome and Rome's conquest and then its expansion, but during the same period of history, China was like some bloody super civilized, highly technological empire with like crossbows and massive wall fortifications and things like that. Like doing like the Rome sort of height, China was just leaps and bounds ahead. And then it all went horribly wrong. It all went horribly wrong for him. Okay, Missouri State Guard is running out of supply. So we will need to win this battle to take this supply, otherwise it's ogre, so to speak. And we'll have to retreat again. Yeah, what I like about China, or what I find interesting about China, it had all this massive land, but it didn't really expand outwards. It remained fairly insular. And so occasionally the China would fall apart and then it would just recombine, like in periods of history, which I thought was pretty interesting. Like you'd think with being such a massive power, so you'd try and blob out like every EU4 player under the sun, but it doesn't. It just sort of stays its relative bound, relative size, and just maintains itself. I think that's probably why it has so much instability, because instead of expanding outwards, they just sort of ate each other, or sort of politically ate each other. Also, their political system probably wasn't the best, with have like 1 billion concubines and 700 descendants, and then have each fight for the throne. And their families weren't particularly trustworthy. Like that bloody, what do you call it? You'd have the mother of the emperor, bloody scheming to kill the son or something like that. Yeah, they didn't have a very stable. It's just like when you had the succession in China, you didn't do very well. Oh, it wasn't succession. Oh, I thought because there was always so much infighting during succession or the scheming in court that caused so much instability. I would go offensive, so I need to take these 2 hills, or Pepper's Mill and Shepherd. So I need to take Pepper's Mill and Shepherd, then move forward. So I'll take here, and then move along this front to fight the battle. Oh, corruption and not a lot of centralized power. Oh, okay. So when I do read about, I do read about China. It just seems that their royal family is always scheming against each other and always like either killing each other or making them commit, which what do you call it, honor suicides and things like that. I know there's one story about the emperor's mother didn't like one of the emperor's concubines, and she like mutilated her and turned her like stick her in like the underneath the toilets or something like that, and turned her into like chopped off all her limbs and turned her into this monstrosity. Don't remember what the name of that story is. Um, I don't remember what period it is either, but it was one of the stories I read about China. I think it was like the either the wife of the emperor or the emperor's mistress or one of his concubines, which the mother did not like at all. I think the mother in the end drank poison as well, and the emperor found out one day and just ended up becoming a massive alcoholic. But I think that was probably more propaganda than actual truth. Anderson, okay. Fair one. Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, there's a lot of succession scheming in the Middle Ages in Europe as well, and in ancient Rome. It is a running trend, so it'd be unfair just to say it was only for China. It'd be what do you call it? Very hypocritical. Like, yeah, China was full of backstabbing and politics and that, and then it's like, what about Europe? It's like, what about it? We don't think about that. That's European high politics. That's not scheming. Okay. So where are these guys trying to go? What was he? So the AI had a line, and now it's decided to stop having a line. Move forward, please. Okay. And we are there. Yes. As the battles get a lot wider, it gets harder and harder to control because the missions have to travel further to actually get the missions across. And we are there. These fellows got stuck. Find the name of the general, Zengo Fan. He raised a fund and army peasants to try and stop the Paping rebellion because the noble found army don't give a fuck. Yes, there were several types of army in the empire because nobility. Ha! Yeah, you got the peasant army and the noble. That'd be funny. So what? A peasant army gets sent in first, and then the noble army comes in second. No, not really. Oh, that's a shame. What did the noble army get to do then? The noble army does not do anything. Frost Division is taking a bit of a pasting and it's taking a while to get the rest of the army up. Noble army was placed in the northwest of the country, so not... Oh, I see. Oh. That was like regional. And they didn't do very well. It doesn't seem a lot of Chinese armies don't do very well. Oh, they have these massive numbers. They always take these massive defeats though. Yeah, we are taking devastating losses. We're going to withdraw. Yeah, so this guy took 219 casualties, 600 casualties, one line's broken. And the cavalry's still yet to get anywhere useful. Low old battle, not a lot of movement, things are taking a while to kick in. Sweet! Run away! Because I'm on such a bloody tight spot. I will be able to sweep them off Like this is just a moment. It's just a matter of time before I crush them. As long as they don't try and counter push, we're fine. Story about typing cousin was also a massive trip. He's one of the first two Chinese who speak English. After study, he come back to China and tried to teach cousin. But it took him more than 6 months, so he had to enroll in the army. Okay. So, the story about typing leader cousin is also a massive trip. He was one of the first Chinese who speak English. After his study, he came back to China to try and teach his cousin to make a negotiation between typing and the Western countries. But the trip to do so takes more than 6 months. He had to enroll in an army which fought the typing. Oh, imagine. Well, did he have to enroll with a European army? Or did he enroll with a, with like one of the random armies in China? Oh, I see. So I guess he didn't teach his cousin the English. Oh, he had to travel 6 months in China. Oh, I thought it took him 6 months to get to China. I see. So it took him 6 months to actually get back to the emperor. Please. Yeah, that left flank got smashed. I also sort of need to win this battle, so I can't take it can't be too lazy with it. Finally getting close, point blank. Send the order. It's a slaughter. Okay, now we're doing alright. Things aren't too bad now. You're gonna surrender, aren't you? Oh, you know you're gonna surrender. There we go. All I had to do was bring that core round. Once that core got round, you're alright. And glorious victory. And because of all routing, I'll get ridiculously high casualties again. Well, I don't get ridiculously high casualties again. No, not that bad. 8,500, 4,000, but then again, I have 27,000 men. 2,700 is 10%, 2,000, 5,000, about 20% casualties. That'll allow me to capture the Union Supply Depot, which I can then upgrade and use it to springboard further north into Missouri. Yeah, but it'd be interesting to at least have some games on about China. I hope Victoria 3 is good. I really do hope Victoria 3 is good, but I reckon it'll probably be bare bones. Because Victoria 3 is all about building. I played a Vicky game where I purposely made Austria as backward as possible, so it got to 1936, and I still had serfdom, I still had slavery, and I was a pretty backward nation. And I think I had a mass emigration from Austria. We weren't technology advanced. Yeah, pretty cursed, pretty cursed, more like. But yeah, it was. But it was pretty funny. It was funny. So I would like to. Lincoln emancipates the slaves. Why are you emancipating? You didn't win any victories. Never mind. I would like I would like the option, the ability to be a backward nation, and for it to have its perks, like you have high stability or I don't know. Cheap production. You know, just don't have it as an obvious negative you need to get out of as soon as possible. Otherwise, why did people have slavery in the first place? Or serfdom in the first place? Even though it isn't a abysmal practice, there was a reason why serfdom was enforced. And it was because it was cheap and free labour. Cheap and free labour, so it should reflect in Vicky 2. You're going to have a really backward country, but you're going to have a easy labour supply. Or a very efficient labour supply. Yeah, it doesn't pay tax. Yeah, so for example, it puts a drain on taxation, it puts a drain on manpower because of you've got to have a law enforcement to enforce serfdom, but on the other hand, it gives you production bonuses and you don't have internal competition. Or it's cheaper to maintain businesses or things like that. Otherwise, like we're playing a game about, the American Civil War, like why didn't the South just go, you know what, let's just not, let's just not have slaves. There must have been a reason behind it. Oh, well, states' rights, I suppose, but it must have been an economic incentive as well. It couldn't have just been states' rights alone. Yeah, I don't think the Civil War would have been as big over the slavery issue. I think there may have been some unrest, but it was about states' rights, wasn't it? And mainly the what do you call it? The pressure cooker, the spark that caused it was the state right to own slaves. That was the state right in question. And things like, again, you had the moral issue in the Union, and you also had. Oh, I need to change you to offensive, don't I? You had um, the economic aspect as well. Like industrially, the South was being left behind. You're telling me reboard muskets are better than 400 yards, 2.5 rounds a minute, or yes, apparently so. Interesting. The way the South put a lot of pressure in taxation of protection of the South to prevent exchange with France or England. Oh, trade, fair one. Fair one. We're going to march to the next capture point and hopefully take Missouri, fingers crossed, soon. It's the Army of Shenandoah again, is it? Yeah. Trying to fight over Washington. Yeah, I'm trying to push back and take North Washington. They've got 101 cannons. I've got a load of cannons as well. But Paradox has normally been pretty good at reflecting, well, trying to be politically conscious as well as trying to reflect the nature of political systems at a time. Like they've had things like slavery in Stellaris and in Imperator Rome, and they've done it tastefully enough to not come under a lot of pressure. Not hastily, but considerately enough. A little bit as well with EU4, but I think times are slowly changing. Times are slowly, yeah. Don't buy Imperator, it's garbage. But I bought Imperator, and it's they reflected the benefits and the costs of such an institution from a governmental perspective, not from a moral perspective. Or state perspective. Oh yeah, exactly. For example, like in you're right, slaves in Rome are not the same as slaves in like in modern day or 19th century slavery. Same with like slaves and like in Viking Sweden and things like that, or Denmark. Um, like they Vikings took slaves, but not in the same sense as how we would imagine slaves to be. Yeah, Roman State could be civil officer. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That must be a tricky thing to do these days for games developers, especially historical developers, to make games that are that don't step on too many eggshells or don't cause too much controversy. And especially when you're doing massive grand strategy games. Like, imagine like Hearts of Iron 4, you're playing Germany. You're literally playing Nazi Germany in Hoi 4, and your job is to win as Nazi Germany. Um, Now, if that got too much publicity, people would be like, "Oh shit," you know. I mean, I do some censorship, but effectively, what the game is at its face. But then again, it's almost like a freedom of expression. If in theory that means you could never play the Germans in a World War II game, or you could never play um, you could never play well, you could never play the Confederacy in a American Civil War game. Although you can get around it a little bit in from a Second World War standpoint by saying the Wehrmacht wasn't particularly Nazi uh, a Nazi organization. Although they had some believers, but some fanatics for the cause. I don't think it's a problem for a developer. It's only Paradox who try to make things inclusive, and it backfires on them when the player base don't give about that. They want a historical symbol. Yeah, they want people want historical realism. But then again, you don't want it to end up being a bastion for for radicals. Well, as I've seen in many Hoi 4 community discords, there's many many an edgy fanatic. But I think like games like the Paradox games need to have historical realism. Otherwise, what's the point in otherwise it's not a history, it's a fantasy game. That's what was the key problem with Battlefield 5 is that no one really cared that that women were in Battlefield 5. What they cared about is that it wasn't realistic. And then people said, well, neither's half of Battlefield 5's content. But if the difference is the suspension of disbelief. So if I play Battlefield 5 and I see a guy running around with a German MG, I could technically I could believe that that guy picked it up off a dead German because he ran out of ammo. If I see I don't know, a black guy with an MG, I can believe that because of course there were quite a significant black contingent, especially in the US forces and in the French colonial forces. But then if I see a female black MG gunner with a prosthetic arm dressed in pink camouflage doing the floss, suddenly I lose my suspension of disbelief. And it's not because of politics or that. It becomes satire. It becomes a joke. It's almost mocking the. It's it's so unrealistic and it's so bizarre. It's almost insulting the people that actually participated in it. That's why when in like Battlefield 2042, I've got no problem with it. Yeah, Battlefield 2042, you've got female soldiers. That's fine, because it's modern day setting, modern day setting. There's plenty of female soldiers, um, and with the scenario itself, I can understand why old manpower would be utilized for that resource war. But when you go back in time and do this revisionist history and do it in such a bad way, it's and then act all morally justified, saying, well, you know, well, you're racist or you're a bigot if you cause an if you complain. It's just not fair. No, contact. Yeah, so it's a modern day setting. It's understand. It's when people, and even then, it's just how over the top they went. They really went for the Fortnite audience with this over the top, blase trailer. You know, selling cosmetics, games as a service. The whole thing was a disaster. Oh, and that cannon has got obliterated. But it is what it is. It's a current generation. Everyone's so opinionated, or everyone's so soft-skinned these days, or everyone's trying to change history. Yeah, you have to be careful, Hoffman. I've got. I remember. Yeah, you got to be careful. I don't want to get banned. And but yeah, that the meme. I understand the meme, but some people will take offense to that. But yeah, I understand you're referring to historical revisionism, taken to its extreme. I know many a meme with historical revisionism. Yeah, exactly. You didn't write it right. I'll have to reset. What do you call it? I'll have to reset the language block. But yeah, but that's why people are so fed up, and it's not because everyone's innate evil people or innate oppressors. It's because they're just so fed up of having everything they've known or everything they've been raised or their entire livelihood to think is good and great, just thrown in the bin. Or everything like the whole country or the whole culture that's constantly under attack, constantly undermined, constantly browbeaten. And it's upsetting because the real issues get ignored, like important issues, over things like names. Like a name isn't going to kill you. A name is not going to starve you or beat you, or do some real unpleasant things to you. But we focus so much on these little tedious things. I think it's because we as a society are so pampered. We have such an easy existence that we need to find things to fight or things to pick apart at. That's why I call everyone just get along. I'll judge people as individuals instead of like having to put everyone in a bloody box and talking about levels of oppression. Can't you just like judge each person by their own individual character and qualities? Yes, the American. Like, does it really matter what your gender is? There you go. This is there you go. That's me banned. But that's just my opinion. Like, does it matter more about your job or your career, or does it matter more about making sure you're not going to get attacked on the street? Yeah, it's mostly a Western thing. And I think it is mainly due to just the quality. Our lifestyles are so pampered. Now, who hit who in our society really knows proper hardship? Like who's like actually no one's raised or no one's in a Western country has ever, or most people in a Western country um have never gone day to day wondering if they'll be fed today, or wondering if they'll be bombed, or they're going to be attacked by some roving gang. You know, the level of security and safety in our countries is so immensely high that we're completely ignorant about the more unpleasant things about in that can happen. And so we find dragons to slay, social movements to get behind, causes to fight for, and the causes are normally not not a big deal. Normally. Yeah. Again, I don't want to get too political. Oh, because I'd rather just talk about the games, but there's a lot of yeah, the amount of identity politics. I think it's divisive. I think if you put people in categories, you don't. I don't think. I think you end up almost indirectly segregating people instead of just completely ignoring ignoring race or ignoring where you come from and focusing more on education when it comes or focusing more on the bigger issues like economy, industry, um, well, not economy, industry, what I mean, like education, healthcare, um, food, things that actually things everyone can care about, security, industry, economy, um, taxation. Instead of focusing on those big issues, we end up fighting over who's allowed to wear dreadlocks and things like that. And then nothing gets done. Nothing gets done, and the powers that be get away with doing nothing. Yeah, it's almost like they're causing what they're saying they're trying to stop. But what do I know? I'm playing video games. What the hell do I know about about the uh, about the way of the world? still. There you go, finished my little rant. Finished my period of my rage against the machine. Now, where were we? Oil. This may be an interesting battle, I'm not sure yet. So, I think we've got in a pretty good position. I do want to keep on closing down their push across this river, which I think I'm going to try and do now. And I've got a reserve cord. The thing is, because the army is getting so big now, and the way this map works, or this sort of terrain, means I'm limited on my combat whip. I can't keep expanding around because I won't have enough command and control. I would like to, but it may take... Yeah, but that's the only crossing point, you see. Like, to cross that river, I would need a breakthrough. And that's the limiting factor. Oh, I could get around this way, maybe. No, this is going to be a mosh pit. Now the AI here would intelligently withdraw back across the river. That's what I would do in this, if the roles were reversed. So what's the plan here, AI? What are you going to do? Apart from sending out a horde of skirmishers. Quite a bit of chaos right now. I have a sneaking suspicion that the AI has had a slight step back. Because it'll form up here, but it's not facing towards the main bulk of the army, it's facing over there, and that's not good. Who do you belong to? Let's get this cavalry up. Not cavalry artillery. No, I don't think we're going to have too big a problem. They tried to cross, and now it's gone wholly wrong for them. Unless the day ends, I reckon it's going to be a rather decisive victory in my favour. The day needs to end, and they're going to need to reform their armies. They've been pen spinning it for a while. Let's see what the damage is. Yeah, so not a good strategy from the AI. They need to withdraw back across, or they need to push forward and try and break one of the flanks. Instead, they've made this weird line where half of their flank is up in the air and the other half across the river. So we'll see if they can escape the victory from the jaws of impending defeat. What have we got? Now, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they have withdrawn somewhat in good detail. Let's see how this battle's developed. Like, they have somewhat retreated and formed a better line, which is quite good, but it's just too late. That's the problem. So, but if they'd done this a little bit earlier, we'd still have a good battle on our hands. But now we've taken so much damage, lost so many brigades, no longer. It's no longer a threat. Now I can just remarch the armies around and prepare for a double envelopment. And begin the big brain move. You're sort of stuck in this river. This random detachment is somehow destroying me. Don't do it, Ross. I don't know why you're bitching out. You've got your orders. Start moving forward. You've got your orders. Start moving forward. Half my army is collapsing. Yeah, so I've got Ross and this just doing their own thing, which is not good. Can't really stop them now. They're committed, so the best I can do is point them upwards and hope for the best. This is a healthier line. This has got better, but it's too late. They're taking too many losses. Almost forward. There we are. And the big brain cavalry strap begins. Yeah, we should win this easy now. Both flanks being contested. Now the intelligent thing for the AI now will be to withdraw. It knows flanks are contested, it knows it's about to be double enveloped. It has really one option, and that's to withdraw. Go. You can just tell by the number of Union bodies compared to the Confederate bodies. That's how one-sided this is. I almost feel bad. That's going to be about 50, that's going to be a full army wipe. Yep. All of this is going to surrender. Yep. Came to the wrong neighborhood, mofo. Charge. Huzzah! Chase him down. Yeah, all of us are surrendering. This is a big punching ball now. So I've got the artillery firing down on them. I've got the hill advantage. And they're all stuck in this valley. And the enemy's retreating. Who'd have thunk it? I wonder why. I'm gonna give this guy iron discipline because he's about to rout. Yeah, look at the scale of casualties. 9,000 in mine, so that's about 15%. And now they're 58,000, they got 20,000 casualties. So 5, 10, 15, 20, that's about 40%. Almost half of an army. Yeah, if they hadn't retreated, I would have eventually I would have closed the pocket. The problem was the orders were taking longer because of how wide the lines of communication were. So it was taking ages for the cavalry and that to move forward. But if I had gamed it a bit more, or with a bit more time, I would have had them completely wiped. That army would have ceased to exist. So even though the AI has got new logic for being flanked, still won't really do much about it in some cases. Upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. Now we have a lot of cavalry equipment as well. That should be Washington, well and truly in our sphere of influence. Now we're going to move forward to take Frederick. We'll build that supply depot and build ourselves a nice, lovely fort at Frederick. No, I can't. That's a shame. I think he's still marching, so I've got to wait. There we go. The Frederick secure, Washington secure. move up to... Could move up to Baltimore if I wanted to. We'll build a Confederate fort in Washington. And that will secure us. Yeah, Confederate. Yeah, we're going to build a Confederate fort. So we're going to fortify, because I've had problems before where I've moved forward and the units have gone behind me and cut off my supply. Because there's a lot of infrastructure here. If I build forts, they're going to have to stop at the forts before they can take these bases. Meaning that I can start moving forward with my two armies without fear of being encircled and wiped. They are growing in numbers, but still nowhere near the same scale as I am. Oh, I hate the core system. I hate the core system. And we'll build ourselves a little fort in Cairo as well, a little Confederate fort in Cairo. We've got to go slowly in these campaigns now because of the readiness and the supply mechanic. You can't just yeet. They've got 216,000, I've got 346. Of course, that's not including forts, I don't think. I think that also includes forts. So you could take off about 50,000 for forts. Yeah, the Union manpower is not very high in so far. I don't think they've gone to conscription 2 yet. So we're still winning in terms of the ability to man excessive amounts of manpower. Build me a fort. Or don't, fine, don't build me a fort. March up here, then build me a fort. There we are. Yeah, we're gonna have forts out the arse. Once this army's ready, I think we are. It's got low readiness, and because I'm in Union territory, I don't really want to move unless they're on green readiness, because then they'll get stuck in the middle of no man's land. Where and who is what is sieging me? Oh, you're low readiness, so that's why you're getting sieged. I'm going to let that auto-resolve. Okay. And you know what? We're going to be lazy and let this auto-resolve as well. And that should force him up north. Another fort around Richmond. You can see what's going to happen here. Fort Kennedy. Fortress Richmond. How is that siege going? Hopefully not too bad. Could be fine financially. How many are you fighting against? Don't tell me. No more. Let's do some bounties. Not a lot of disabled or casualties. Hopefully that auto resolve's not bugged. Build another fort. Yeah, this will be the extent of our campaigns for this year, I think. I'm going to build these forts up to protect the supplies. What to do? Holy fuck. Didn't see that. Didn't see that coming. This came out of nowhere. Oh, a Union army. I've got 108 guns, I've got 37, but I've got cav. I can win this. Everyone's hasn't done too badly this yet. Hello, Duel. How's things? Is it time? Is it time? Or are you too busy? Or are you at work? Time. Okay, gentlemen. We're going to save the game here then. We're going to save the game because we're going to play some called Armed Gates of Hell. And because I've been waiting to play with Duel, and I'm going to make a self-contained stream, and we're going to watch this battle tomorrow. So, gentlemen, first battle where I am numerically disadvantaged, and I think my main defensive line will be along here, where most of the capture points are. Where's the Union coming from? From there? Yeah, my main defensive line is going to be here. So, gentlemen, I will be back in a sec. Yeah, I don't have ammo so much. Yes, it is. It is time. It's time. Alright, I'll close the stream and start again because in case this gets banned or removed because it got too political. So I don't want to get two birds in one stone. So, gentlemen, I'll be back in a sec.